Yes, y'all. Who got the vibe? It's the tribe, y'all. We alive, y'all. That's the scenario. Shout out to leaders of the new school, Tribe Called Quest, RIP Fife. It's your boy Big Vern. We're gonna go ahead and round the bases. I think today's just been an NBA day. So this is probably a crazy day, but yeah, it's been an NBA day for the most part. Give you a quick recap. We just finished up on Shiloh Sanders filing for bankruptcy protections in Texas against a judgment that was rendered against him for an altercation with a high school security guard. Then we were talking about how trash the NBA draft is because guys are actively pulling out of the draft and going back to college. And some of them are even going back to college and transferring to other programs, staying on that NIL. So congratulations to them. Then we were talking about the Washington Wizards. They have a new coach in Brian Keefe. Brian Keefe, he replaced Wes Unseld Jr., and they seem to be pumped up about it. However, is it a distinction without a difference? And they have the number 2 draft pick in this class. So, like I said, happy for them. Hope it works out. But now we want to stay in the association and we want to talk about last night. Now, I know people are prisoners of the moment. They want to go ahead and make knee-jerk reactions and this person should be traded, that person should be traded. So CBS Sports has Karl Anthony Towns. His trade rumors are inevitable after a Timberwolves loss to the Mavericks. But is that realistic? I don't think so. I think that Minnesota was a young team. Minnesota's a young team, and they have young guys in there, and it looks like they were trying to play one-on-one basketball for the most part. Now, that's not to take away from Jason Kidd and Dallas, what they accomplished this year. Hats off to them. But sometimes the victor is going to win. Now, Sam Quinn, he writes, Karl Anthony Towns was an essential component or perhaps the single biggest victory in Minnesota Timberwolves history. Let's be absolutely clear about that. Towns was primarily the defender of Nikola Jokic as the Timberwolves stunned the defending champs, the Denver Nuggets, to reach the 2024 Western Conference Finals. He's not lying about any of that. The notion that the roster was built to beat the Nuggets specifically hinged as much on Towns as it did on Rudy Gobert, which I don't know. Rudy Gobert was named NBA All-Defense, and I seen none of that. I saw none of that this year. And when Luka put him on skates, it just looked like I was watching something in slow motion because that looks so slow. And Anthony Edwards, the self-described greatness shooting big man in the NBA history, was an absolute necessity in keeping the Timberwolves offseason viable against some of the biggest lineups in the league. Minnesota's season would have ended weeks ago without him. Okay. I mean, if that's how you feel, I'm not going to sit up here and say different. But we'll get more into this when we come back from a quick 20 from an unofficial sponsor of the show. This is Big Vern at App Stupid. Drop the spot. Yes, Little Caesars Pizza. Download the app, order online, or visit your good folks at your local Little Caesars. Okay, so when we last left off, we were talking about Karl Anthony Towns and them saying that the trade rumors were there and how he doesn't play any defense because that's what he was alluding to, Quinn. Now, this is largely who Towns has been. Now, this is Quinn's words, not mine. This is largely who Towns has been for his entire career. A star as talented as he is inconsistent. In 2022-2023 playoffs, he scored 15 or fewer points in 4 of his 11 games, but 25 or more in 5 of the remaining 7. He has more playoff games with 4 or more fouls, 18, than 3 or fewer at 14. Minnesota has lost his minutes in the 20 to his 32 playoff games. For most of his NBA history, you just lived with this. Max level talent were so rare and so valuable in their best moments that you gritted your teeth through their inconsistencies and blindly paid them at every opportunity. So what Sam is actually gathering in that whole sentence structure and that word salad is that Karl Anthony Towns is highly inconsistent. And he's averaging more fouls when he's in the playoffs, and they've shaved his numbers down to 20 from 32 because he is so inconsistent. However, they're paying for the inconsistencies. So it's the devil that you do know. I know he's not going to give me any defense. He may give me some offense. So I need to go ahead and pay him to keep him here. That isn't the NBA we live in anymore. The 2023 CBA was designed to break up teams like the Timberwolves. As of the writing, Minnesota has roughly $193 million in committed salaries for next season, a figure that jumped by roughly $7 million when Edwards earned all NBA honors. The Timberwolves only have 10 players under contract at the moment. Even if they filled out their remaining slots with minimum salaries rather than re-signing key free agents like Kyle Anderson and Monte Morris, their final payroll before trades is almost certain to come in at $200 million. Such a payroll would also incur a luxury tax payment in the $70 million range, depending on the final numbers. All told, that would make the 2024-2025 Timberwolves one of the most expensive rosters in NBA history. And nobody's going to pay for that. And nobody's going to pay for that. $200 million, I get it. You all reached the Western Conference Finals. But there are some players, this may be the only chance or the only sniff that you get out of that. Now, if you're going to break up Karl Anthony Towns, and you're going to put him on the market, who are you looking to get? Who are you looking to get? And that's the conundrum or the quandary that Minnesota, they find themselves in. There's never been a worse time to have one of the most expensive rosters in NBA history. The harshness, the restrictions of the second apron kick in when the calendar turns to July. Teams above the projected 189 million line will no longer have access to the taxpayer mid-level exemptions. So now that's news to me. I didn't know here, and well, it's still May. This is the last day of May. But come June, you got 28 days to figure out how to go ahead and move this around to stay under that 189 million tax exemption line. That's going to be hard. They won't be able to aggregate salaries in trades or take back a cent more in deals than they sent out. Their draft picks get frozen at the end of the first round, and starting in 2025-2026, their tax bills get a whole lot heftier. Maybe Joe Lacombe and Steve Ballmer. Now, we talked about them in a story where Alex Rodriguez was trying to buy the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Mystics. And he had partners out there and they was trying to renege on the deal. But Steve Ballmer would be more comfortable navigating that reality. It's hard to believe that Minnesota's ownership will be. We don't even know who's going to own the team when the dust settles. Again, I just pointed that out. We talked about that on our program. The incumbent owner, Glenn Taylor, has paid the luxury tax only once since the league adopted it in the punitive format in 2011. And even then, during the 2019-2020 season, Minnesota just barely beyond the line. Now, the possible newcomers, Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lohr, are even scarier. A report from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. I don't even like that dude because that dude was covering up sex crimes, but allegedly. Let me stop. Claimed that the documents Lohr and Rodriguez shared with the NBA and the Carlyle Group, a private equity firm that would have been involved in the purchase for the team, rendered a budget for next season that included a projected payroll of $171 million, or $1 million below the expected $172 million luxury tax line. That means slashing payroll by roughly $30 million. There isn't $30 million in the super plus salary here. Frankly, the majority of Minnesota's roster is underpaid. If the Timberwolves made Jaden McDaniels they paid him $22.5 million in salaries next season. Naz Reid is making $14 million and Connolly $10 million. They above the cap, then that dumps them into a line where they don't want to be. So I think the thing that this article is exposing is that they're going to need to off some of the talent. You're going to need to go ahead and put guys off the roster so they can stay under the luxury tax. And with all the calamity that's going on in upper management and the owner class, you just don't know how this thing is going to shake out. So Karl Anthony Towns could be one of the first victims of the salary cap issues, because Minnesota's not in a big market. Minnesota's in a small market, and paying if you're paying $200 million in guaranteed salaries, now you got a luxury tax you're going to have to pay on top of that. You're already cash strapped, and you got all of these guys making this money. I don't think this is a recipe for success. If anything, this sounds like a taste of disaster. So, hey, look, if Towns goes anywhere, I don't know where he could go. Be honest with you, I don't know where he could go. I just don't know where you could put Karl Anthony Towns if he had to leave Minnesota. He's not going to go to Washington. I don't think he wants to go to Cleveland. Miami, I don't think that they could afford to pay him. It's just a mess. But that is our show for the day. We will be back. Not next week. Next week we're off. We're on a break next week. So we'll be back the following week, all recharged and ready to go. This is Big Vernadab Stupid. We love you all. Thanks for making us the fastest growing internet talk experience. Because that's what this is. This is a talk experience. We're not a show. We tell jokes. We throw out rap albums. We have fun. So we'll be back on June the 9th. Yep. Till then, you all take care of yourself. We love you. We'll see you soon.